Caleb had always believed that life on the edge of a distant planet would be quiet, maybe even boring, but nothing prepared him for how strange and unpredictable Lurethus could feel. The sky above him glowed a soft purple that never truly darkened, and the wind carried tiny sparks of light that drifted like dust from a broken star. Every day looked magical, yet after years of working on the human outpost, he and his small team had grown used to the view. They joked to stay awake, complained to stay sane, and tried to turn every break into a reason to laugh. On this day, the air felt colder than usual, and the glowing grass swayed around them as they finished repairing a communication panel outside the base. Caleb wiped sweat from his forehead, even though the wind kept brushing against his skin with a chilly touch. His friends, Rena, Marco, and Jin, stood nearby, stretching and relaxing after hours of work. Rena teased him about always volunteering to fix outdoor systems. Marco complained about missing dinner again. Jin compared the glowing grass to noodles. Their jokes grew sillier until laughter kept echoing across the field. Caleb raised his arms dramatically, wanting to make them laugh even harder. With a loud voice, he shouted, "Who wants to marry me?" His friends burst into laughter immediately. Rena clapped her hands, Jin nearly fell over from laughing, and Marco told him that no one in the entire galaxy was desperate enough to accept such an offer. Caleb laughed too. It was just a ridiculous moment meant to break the tired mood. But then something strange happened. The laughter died faster than expected. A sudden gust of cold air swept past them, sharp enough to make them flinch. The glowing grass around them trembled. Caleb lowered his arms slowly, unsure why he suddenly felt watched. Rena turned her head first. Marco stopped breathing for a second and pointed at something behind Caleb. Jin whispered, "Someone's there." Caleb turned around carefully, expecting maybe a wandering animal, but instead he saw a figure stepping through the thin layer of mist that covered the far end of the valley. A tall woman walked with slow, soundless steps, almost gliding. Her skin was pale with a soft silver shine, reflecting the purple light of the sky. Her hair flowed behind her like a dark river, smooth and weightless. Her eyes, glowing a deep red, rested directly on Caleb. The air felt heavier the closer she came, not with danger, but with a quiet sense of something ancient. She stopped just a few feet away. Caleb's heart pounded because he had never seen a being like her in his life. The woman looked calm, composed and strangely peaceful, though her presence felt powerful. She stared at him for a moment longer, then spoke in a clear voice that sounded like a quiet echo inside the wind. "I accept." The words felt unreal. Caleb blinked, thinking he misheard her. His friends stood frozen behind him, none of them joking anymore. She continued, "You called for a mate. According to the old pact, a call made with a true voice must be answered. I accept your offer." Caleb's mouth opened, but no words came out. She was serious, completely serious. Rena whispered, "Caleb, what did you do?" Caleb raised his hand slowly, trying to explain. "It was a joke. I wasn't serious." The woman studied him carefully, as if trying to read meaning in his eyes. She tilted her head slightly. "Your voice did not sound false. It reached the pact tone. An invitation spoken with sincerity cannot be ignored." Caleb's skin tingled with confusion and fear. He had no idea what a pact tone was, and he definitely didn't think shouting random silly things into the air would attract someone like her. He swallowed, feeling awkward under her steady gaze. "I didn't know there was a pact," he said softly. "Humans we don't have such traditions." The woman blinked slowly, her glowing eyes softening. "I understand. Your kind is unfamiliar with the deeper laws of this world." She stepped closer, not threateningly, but with the gentle confidence of someone who understood her purpose. Caleb could see the faint patterns on her skin, like silver veins that shimmered softly. "My name is Scifi," she said. "I am one of the remaining Nocturni." Caleb felt his breath catch. The Nocturni were rumored to be a lost alien race, a people who lived underground, away from sunlight, feeding not on blood as myths claimed, but on energy from the environment. Most humans believed they had died out centuries ago. And yet here she stood, alive, calm, and speaking to him as if this meeting were natural. His friend stayed behind him, unsure whether to run, warn the base, or simply hide. Caleb wanted to keep the situation peaceful, so he offered a nervous smile. "Nice to meet you, Scifi. But you really don't need to accept anything. I was just being funny." Scifi's expression didn't change much, but her eyes flickered gently, like a soft glow responding to his voice. "Humor," she said quietly, tasting the unfamiliar word. "Your meaning was not obvious to me. My people take spoken vows seriously. A call for a mate is never done lightly among my kind." Caleb felt guilt rising inside him. Something about her tone made him realize she wasn't here to threaten anyone. She simply believed she was following an important rule. "I'm sorry," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "I didn't mean to mislead you." She considered his apology for a long moment, her eyes narrowing slightly with emotion he couldn't understand. "Your voice carried sincerity," she said. "Even if your mind did not intend it, your heart did." Caleb didn't know how to respond to that. He wondered if maybe she sensed emotions more deeply than humans could. The silence grew heavy. Marco finally whispered, "Caleb, we should call the captain." But Scifi looked at Caleb, not Marco, and spoke gently. "You do not need to fear. I came peacefully. I will not harm you or your team. I only wish to honor the pact." She spoke with such calm honesty that Caleb felt his own tension melt slightly. Still, he needed to protect his friends. "Could you explain more?" he asked. "Why does saying something like that matter so much?" Scifi nodded slowly, as if she had expected the question. "Long ago, our race formed bonds through vocal resonance. A call for partnership was sacred. Only those with aligned hearts could summon the pack tone. When you shouted into the valley, the tone reached my chamber deep below. It resonated with me." Caleb tried to wrap his mind around that. He wanted to laugh because it still sounded impossible, but nothing about Scifi felt like a joke. "So," he said carefully, "you came all the way here. Because of me?" Her eyes glowed a little brighter. "Yes." The simple word carried a weight that made Caleb's stomach twist. Rena whispered, "Caleb, she's not lying." Scifi reached a hand forward, not touching him, but holding it near his chest, sensing something. "Your energy is warm," she said softly, "stronger than I expected from a human on this land. It pulled me upward." Caleb took a step back, overwhelmed. He wasn't used to anyone describing his energy, especially not an elegant alien woman with glowing red eyes who appeared after he made a ridiculous joke. She lowered her hand immediately, showing she didn't want to pressure him. "If my presence causes fear, I can step farther away," she said quietly. Caleb shook his head. "No, it's fine. I just need a moment to think." Scifi nodded respectfully and stepped back. Jin leaned close and whispered, "She's polite. That's good, right?" "I hope so," Caleb whispered back. The purple sky overhead shifted as a breeze carried soft light across the field again. Scifi looked around, observing the human tools and devices scattered near the repair site. "Your people build much on the surface," she said. "We rarely come this close." "So why now?" Caleb asked. "Because your voice called me," she said, as if it were the simplest truth. Caleb opened his mouth to speak, but before he could say anything, Scifi took a slow breath that made her silver skin brighten. If you wish to reject the pact, we may discuss it with the elders. We have rules for such matters. Caleb frowned. Elders? Yes, she said. My people will want to see the one who summoned a pact tone. They will ask questions. They will want to know your intention. Caleb's heart skipped at the idea of meeting more beings like her. Rena tugged at his sleeve. Caleb, are you really going with her? I don't know, he whispered. But I can't just ignore her either. Saravine looked at him again, her eyes shimmering softly. I do not wish to cause trouble for you. I wish to understand. Your voice reached me. I followed it. If your intention was not what I believed, then I must learn why. Her honesty softened Caleb. She wasn't angry, she wasn't demanding, she was just deeply tied to her own culture's rules. It wasn't her fault she misunderstood. Caleb sighed gently. Okay, let's talk first. Maybe we can fix this. Saravine's eyes brightened, almost like hope. Yes, I would like that. They stood facing each other in the glowing field, two beings from different worlds brought together by a simple shout that was never meant to be heard. Caleb didn't know where this strange moment would lead, but he could already feel that nothing about his life would ever be simple again. Caleb never imagined he would walk back toward the outpost with an alien woman silently following behind him. But that was exactly what happened as he and his team moved cautiously across the glowing grass fields. Each step felt heavier than the last. Saravine walked a short distance behind Caleb, giving him space, almost as if she understood that her presence alone was overwhelming. Her movements were soft and smooth, her long dark hair drifting as if guided by the wind, though no breeze touched it. Rena, Marco, and Jin kept whispering questions among themselves, none of which Caleb could answer, because he was as confused as they were. Every time he glanced back, Saravine's red eyes met his calmly, not in a threatening way, but in a patient and steady way. It felt as though she trusted him more than he trusted himself. That thought alone made Caleb uneasy. When they reached the outpost gates, two guards stepped forward with their weapons raised. Caleb quickly moved ahead, raising his hands to show he was not in danger. It's okay, he said. She's not here to hurt anyone. The guards exchanged looks of disbelief. They had heard rumors of underground creatures, but no human had ever spoken to one up close. Saravine stopped several feet away from the gate and bowed her head slightly in a respectful manner. I will not cross your boundary without permission, she said softly. Her voice was gentle, yet even those simple words held an ancient weight, like a tradition she never questioned. Caleb felt an odd responsibility settle on his shoulders. It wasn't just about a misunderstanding anymore. Saravine had shown him courtesy and honesty, and he felt he owed her the same in return. Inside the outpost, the atmosphere quickly shifted from curiosity to tense concern. Officers gathered around, whispering, pointing, and trying to understand how a myth had walked straight into their field. Captain Lorne, a stern man with tired eyes, stepped forward. Caleb, he said firmly, explain what's happening. Why is an unknown alien following you? Did she threaten you? Caleb shook his head immediately. No, she didn't. She came because she thought I made a vow. The captain raised an eyebrow. A vow? Caleb swallowed hard before answering. I shouted something, a joke. She thought it was a serious call for a mate, something important in her culture. The captain stared at him, then covered his face with one hand as if fighting the urge to sigh loudly. A marriage call? Caleb? This is a first contact nightmare. Caleb didn't disagree. Outside the gate, Saravine remained quiet, her hands resting gently at her sides, waiting for permission to approach. She showed no frustration, no impatience, only silent certainty. The captain studied her carefully. She's not attacking, he murmured to another officer. She's not even stepping past the perimeter. Rena spoke up, her voice nervous but sincere. Sir, she actually seems respectful. And she listened when Caleb explained things. The captain wasn't fully convinced, but he also saw that Saravine wasn't acting hostile. Eventually, he walked toward the gate and addressed her directly. I am Captain Lorne of the Human Outpost. State your purpose here. Saravine lifted her head. I seek to clarify a vow. A human called for a mate. The call reached my people. I answered. The captain blinked. Her voice was calm, but her words were so unusual that he struggled to form a response. You believe Caleb summoned you intentionally? He asked. I believed he did, she replied. But I am learning that humans speak with layered meanings. I wish to understand, not to force anything. Her sincerity surprised the captain. Caleb quickly stepped beside him and spoke quietly. Sir, I think she's open to resolving this peacefully. She said there are rules for releasing a vow. The captain folded his arms. Rules? So we now have alien marriage law involved? Caleb winced. Unfortunately, yes. The captain sighed, then motioned for everyone to step back. All right, let's talk. But she stays outside the gate until we understand more. Saravine nodded without offense. I accept your terms. The conversation continued at the gate, with Saravine answering every question with honesty. She explained that her people, the Nocturni, used sound and emotional resonance to form bonds. A packed tone was a rare thing, only heard when a voice carried sincerity so strongly that it reached deep underground. Caleb insisted it was a misunderstanding, but Saravine didn't deny that his voice had truly reached her heart. She repeated that she wanted to learn how humans viewed such words so casually. She wasn't angry or insulted, just genuinely confused. Humans laughed when uncomfortable. Humans joked when stressed. Humans expressed emotions without meaning them literally. All of this was new to her. Captain Lorne eventually ordered Caleb to take Saravine to the debriefing hall for a proper explanation, but still with guards watching closely. Saravine followed Caleb inside slowly, looking around in quiet amazement at the human-built structures. Every blinking light, every piece of metal, every buzzing monitor seemed to fascinate her. She touched nothing, only observed. Caleb led her to a large room where he, Saravine, and 3 officers sat around a metal table. The guards waited outside, ready to intervene if needed. Saravine sat gracefully, folding her hands on her lap. Her posture was calm but elegant, like someone raised in a palace of silence. Caleb took a breath and began explaining human humor again, using examples, jokes, and exaggerated stories so she could understand. Saravine listened intently, her glowing eyes studying every detail of his face, as if learning his expressions was just as important as his words. So, she said slowly, a human may speak a request, but not truly desire it? Exactly, Caleb replied. We say many things just to make others laugh. She considered this carefully. In my culture, laughter is used to celebrate truth, not hide it. We do not speak vows we do not mean. Caleb nodded. Yeah, humans are complicated. Saravine tilted her head. Complicated, yes, but interesting. The officers asked her more questions. She answered them with the same calm honesty. She explained that her people were few in number and avoided the surface due to sunlight sensitivity. They fed on emotional and environmental energy, not blood, disproving the old myths humans once believed. They lived in underground sanctuaries that glowed with crystal light. Their traditions were strict but meaningful. A call for partnership was sacred, and allowing it to go unanswered was considered disrespectful. This was why she came. Caleb felt guilt again. He hadn't meant to disrespect an entire race. At one point, an officer asked, "Why Caleb? Why did his voice reach you specifically?" Saravine looked at Caleb with a softness that surprised everyone. "His energy carried warmth," she said quietly. "It was steady and kind. It matched the resonance of my own spirit. I believed it was destiny." Caleb's heart thumped heavily in his chest. He had never expected such words. It wasn't romantic. It was deeper than that. She truly believed they were connected somehow. Caleb didn't know how to respond, but he also didn't look away. After long discussion, the captain finally said, "If this is a cultural misunderstanding, then we need to correct it. You mentioned elders. Will they release Caleb from this vow?" Saravine nodded slowly. "Yes, but they must meet him first. They must be certain he spoke without intention. It is our way." Caleb felt a chill run through him. Meeting more Nocturni was terrifying, but also necessary if he wanted to fix this peacefully. The captain rubbed his forehead again. "Caleb, do you feel safe going with her?" Caleb thought about it carefully. Saravine had shown nothing but gentleness. She never pushed him, never threatened him, never tried to force anything. Her presence felt strange, yes, but not dangerous. "I feel safe with her," he said quietly. Saravine looked down slightly, touched by his words. The captain nodded. "Then you will go with her. Under one condition. You keep a communication device with you at all times, and you return before nightfall." Saravine's expression became thoughtful. "Nightfall is when we wake," she said. "But I will guide him safely regardless of time." Caleb stood up slowly. "I'll go," he said. "We need to clear this up." Saravine rose as well, moving with graceful silence. When they stepped outside, she glanced at the sky, then turned to Caleb with a look that held a quiet gratitude. "Thank you," she said softly, "for not fearing me." Caleb exhaled a breath he didn't know he was holding. "I'm still a little scared," he admitted. She smiled, just slightly. It was the first real smile he saw from her, faint but beautiful. "That is natural," she said. "But you have courage." She walked beside him toward the valley. The air grew colder as they approached the place she came from. Caleb felt the ground vibrate faintly under his boots, like a heartbeat deep beneath the soil. Saravine paused at the edge of a shadowy slope, leading downward into a glowing cave entrance. "This is the beginning," she said softly. Caleb swallowed hard, nodding. He took a step forward, then another. Saravine walked beside him, her calm presence guiding him gently into the unknown. Above them, the purple sky remained bright. But the deeper Caleb walked, the more he realized that he was entering a world completely different from his own. And somewhere inside him, despite the fear and confusion, a strange sense of curiosity began to grow, a feeling that this journey was not just about fixing a misunderstanding, but discovering something bigger than he ever imagined.